Imagine you're one of the top dogs in Formula One, with an entire team, millions in sponsorships, and thousands of fans depending on you. Now imagine, out of nowhere, your direct competitor is suddenly being accused of cheating. Not just any accusation, but one so serious it could potentially rock the entire foundation of the sport. That's exactly what happened when Red Bull recently hinted that McLaren's cooling strategy for their tires might not be within the rules. But here's the kicker. The FIA president, Mohammed Ben Sulayem, just cleared McLaren, adding fuel to the fire in what's already become one of the most dramatic and controversial rivalries in recent F1 history. This move has shaken up the paddock, and McLaren's CEO, Zak Brown, has made it clear enough is enough. He's calling for a new system that could change the future of how protests and accusations are handled in F1. Red Bull's accusations of McLaren's tire water trick. So, what exactly triggered this whole meltdown? During the tail end of last season, reports began to surface, particularly from Germany, that Red Bull suspected McLaren of using a water injection system to cool their tires in a way that was illegal. This raised suspicions that McLaren could have been gaining an unfair advantage, especially in hot conditions, by somehow manipulating their tire temperatures. The allegations were intense, and the whispers around the paddock grew louder. But here's the kicker. Despite the rumors, no actual evidence was ever provided, leaving these accusations in limbo. And then there was Zak Brown, McLaren's CEO, who didn't stay quiet about it. In fact, he made a pretty public statement. When the cameras cut to him in Miami, Brown was drinking from a bottle that read tire water, a cheeky jab at the whole situation. It was clear McLaren wasn't having any of it. Why allegations need to come with a price? Now, we all know that Formula One is full of drama, but Zak Brown is taking things up a notch. He's calling for a massive change in how protests and allegations are handled in F1. Brown argues that teams should be required to put down a sizable deposit before lodging any protests against another team. This deposit would serve two purposes. First, it would ensure that teams are serious about their claims, and second, it would discourage frivolous complaints that are often used as distractions or to create unnecessary drama. Think about it. How many times have we seen teams throw around accusations just to shake things up or derail their competitors? It happens a lot in the sport. Brown believes that by requiring a financial stake, the FIA can clean up the process, making sure that only legitimate claims are being made rather than letting accusations fly based on nothing more than a gut feeling or a momentary frustration. It's a call for accountability that could have a long-lasting impact on the way Formula One operates. FIA's stance, clearing McLaren and the future of protests. And just when you thought the drama couldn't get more intense, enter the FIA. The governing body of Formula One has officially cleared McLaren of any wrongdoing, reaffirming that there is no evidence to back up Red Bull's claims. FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem supported Zak Brown's stance, agreeing that teams should have to back up their accusations with more than just a hunch or rumor. This clearance was huge. It sent shockwaves through the paddock, especially among Red Bull fans who had been hoping for some kind of disciplinary action against McLaren. But instead, what we saw was a public endorsement of McLaren's integrity. The FIA's decision is not just a win for McLaren, but also a massive shift in how the sport may handle future disputes. If this becomes the new normal, we could see a reduction in protests that are based on unsubstantiated allegations, creating a more transparent and fair environment for everyone involved. What does this mean for Red Bull and McLaren going forward? So what does this all mean for the future of both Red Bull and McLaren? For Red Bull, this situation could be a massive PR blow. They've come out looking like they were grasping at straws with their allegations, especially considering that no hard evidence has surfaced to support their claims. This could tarnish their reputation in the eyes of some fans, as well as sponsors who don't want to be associated with unnecessary drama. But on the flip side, this could fuel their drive to further improve their car and performance to silence any critics on the track, something we've seen them do in the past. As for McLaren, this situation has likely strengthened their position in the paddock. They've come out of this drama looking clean, with the FIA backing them up, and the public support from Zak Brown adds to the growing confidence in the team. This might even make them more dangerous in future races as they continue to challenge the established order. How will this affect F1's reputation and future regulations? If this protest fee idea is adopted, it could reshape the landscape of Formula One forever. It would fundamentally change how teams interact with one another off the track, forcing them to think twice before throwing accusations around. No longer would teams be able to use protests as a form of tactical warfare, and with fewer distractions, the focus would shift back to what really matters: the racing. Imagine a sport where every protest is backed by solid evidence and serious intent, rather than just an attempt to disrupt the competition. That could lead to a much cleaner, more competitive environment where innovation thrives and the true spirit of racing takes center stage. What does this mean for the fans and the sport's integrity? As fans, we all know how passionate we can get about our favorite teams, but when the drama turns into baseless accusations, it's not just the teams that suffer, it's the sport itself. Formula One thrives on its rich history, technological innovation, and intense rivalries. But when the focus shifts from racing to legal wrangling, it detracts from what really matters: the performance on the track. Imagine sitting at home, eagerly watching the next race, only to find out that instead of analyzing tire strategies or pit stop times, the entire narrative revolves around petty allegations that are later proven false. It's not just frustrating, it's a distraction from the heart of the sport. By implementing a protest fee, Formula One can restore some sanity to the paddock, forcing teams to focus on what really matters: competing at the highest level rather than engaging in a political game of back-and-forth accusations. Fans deserve more than a soap opera. They deserve the thrill of high-speed racing. And if this system works, that's what we'll get. Will other teams adopt Zak Brown's idea? While McLaren may have found a temporary victory in the FIA's decision, Zak Brown's idea could have far-reaching implications for the sport. If this new rule gains traction, we could see other teams following suit, especially if the system proves effective at cutting down on frivolous protests. But will other teams adopt this system, or will they resist it, preferring the current chaos where accusations can be made without much consequence? It's hard to say. On the one hand, teams like Ferrari or Mercedes could see the benefit in eliminating distractions and focusing purely on performance. On the other hand, it can be a tough pill to swallow for those teams that have often relied on back-channel politics to gain an advantage. Regardless, McLaren's push for this protest fee system is an interesting and bold step forward. Whether it gets adopted or not, it's clear that the conversation about fairness, transparency, and integrity in Formula One is gaining momentum, and that's a win for everyone who loves the sport. So, will this new approach to protests change the way Formula One operates forever? It's too early to say, but the conversations started by Zak Brown and supported by the FIA are already making waves. If this idea takes off, we could see an end to the petty allegations and distractions that have marred the sport for years. For now, though, the battle between Red Bull and McLaren continues, and we can't wait to see how it all unfolds. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates on this ongoing saga. We've got more deep dives coming, and you won't want to miss them.